Hi everybody. I hope everyone's having a great day. Wanted to come on here and start on 2 new designs. I really actually love this style that I've been creating recently. So these signs I'm creating, these designs are going to be really quick paints. They're very rustic. They're very primitive, farmhouse style. What I went ahead and did is did these off camera, but I'm going to tell you what I did. I used first of all Decor Americana paints. Excuse me. What I did is I painted the wood very splotchy. I didn't make sure I had great coverage because I didn't want that. I wanted the end result to look very old and weathered. So I used light buttermilk and I applied it with a sponge. And, you know, I was really careful around this engraved area. But I got it to where the look that I wanted. And then what I did is I took an 600 grit sandpaper and I sanded with the grain to hit off the high spots and smooth this out somewhat. And then what I did is I took 180 grit sandpaper and went around the edges and on the corners just to rough them up, just to make them look like they're just very weathered and old. You know, they've been sitting around for a long, long time. And then what I used is this product called Kills Sealing Dark Wax. And I went and used a old t-shirt. I just cut a square off and applied it with the t-shirt because it's just such a bigger area. And I wiped it with the grain, but I focused, with more on the edges and corners. And you have to be careful because sometimes they can get too dark. So if that's the case, all you have to do is take a wet wipe, and you want to do it kind of quickly, and wipe it down, wipe it off. But I use 1/8 inch Baltic birch. So I don't know if you can tell in the camera, but you can see the grain of the wood. And that's what I'm after. I want this to look like it's been sitting out in the elements. The weather has taken over this sign, and I wanted the grain to show through. So that's why some may be darker than the others. And then plus two, I didn't put as much paint on this Farm Fresh egg sign as I did the Farm Fresh milk and cream sign. So it has to be a personal preference. If you're not into using this dark, wax, the sealing wax, if there's another way that a way that you antique things or make it look very rustic, very weathered, very primitive, then do what, you like. But this is what has worked for me, and I absolutely love it. So, my choice is, like I said, I want these to be kind of very rustic, very primitive, very farmhouse. In a sense, almost vintage. So I'm going to be painting this cow and this chicken black. And then what I'm going to do is take my sandpaper and go around the edges and even across the surface. And then I'm going to apply that antiquing wax because I want it to look very, very old. And I'm only going to use 4 colors. 4. Black. I'm going to use graphite on the Farm Fresh. On this particular one, I'm going to use deep burgundy and then go back down to graphite. And here I'm going to use graphite. I'm going to use deep midnight blue and then graphite again. So these are going to be very, what's the word I want to use? Mellow in color. Because like I said, I'm going for that very old look. So let's go ahead and get started. And depending on how quick this goes, I have 3 more designs cut. One's a Christmas one and 2 Halloween ones. So, hello, it's very possible that I can keep working on them. So what I'm going to do is just take my lamp black and paint these. And with this chicken, you kind of want to be careful because its little feathers up top are kind of tiny and delicate. And I do want to get a decent coverage with this black on here. Only because I'm going to be sanding it. I mean, if a little bit of the grain's showing through here and there, I'm okay with it. But if you're into rustic decor, farmhouse decor, primitive, these things that I'm designing are going to be for you. And if you join my private group, I am going to be making a video of how it all goes together. That'll be in my private group only, so you will have to ask to join to see how everything goes together. And how it all works. So, and that video will not be going on YouTube as well. So, if you want to join the private group, I do have some questions. In order to join, you do have to answer them. So, if you don't answer all the questions, unfortunately, you won't be accepted into the group. Alright, we'll let those dry pretty good. And let's start painting the lettering. This is going to be, like I said, a really quick paint. I'm going to use graphite. And I need to get my dot for my milk. I don't think that's the right dot. And I will try and sand these letters lightly, just to rough them up, you know. And hopefully go around the edges without doing any type of damage to the letters. Because some of these are, there's certain areas that are kind of skinny. So you always want to be careful with lettering. And I'm not worrying about a perfect coat on this as well. you know, I do want some wood to shine through, show through, however you want to say it. Because I want that wax to adhere. To some of that. And what that wax also does, and you'll see that as I use it, it actually changes the look, the coloring of whatever it is that you're putting on. I did a couple test samples to see what colors, you know, give me the look I was after I put that wax on. And I'm going to do the eggs the same color. Now I do have an Utterly Delicious to go on with the cow. But I don't have the room, and that's a very delicate writing, so I have to be really, really careful. Like I said, it has to be a personal preference. How much paint you put on. I mean, I've painted a couple of these designs. If you watch the last one with the apples, it took like an hour and a half. And that I did do a little bit of highlighting and shading. But this I'm going to make just very rustic. And where is my burgundy? Now this I'll probably do more of a solid coat, because red is difficult to cover up. And I'll let that wax do its magic. Then I'm going to use Deep Midnight Blue for the milk and cream. And this hardly takes any paint at all. You are using minimal amounts of paint. I mean, the size of a pea is all the paint that you need to put out on your plate. All right. So I'm going to take and sand with the grain of the wood, and I just want to go across it, and I want to be careful because there are some delicate pieces, like areas rather, on here, the tail, the horns. And I'm going to use a sanding stick. I don't know if this is... It is. And I normally don't sand over my surface, but I know I'm not doing a whole lot of painting, so I'm not really worried about it. I'm just trying to rough up the edges, take it down to the bare wood. So when I apply that stain, it shows. Like I said, be careful. I think the sanding and gluing is what's going to take the most time. And these sanding sticks I got off of Amazon, they come in a variety of types of grit, and they're good for getting in small areas. You just got to take your time. I'm going to have a hard time getting in between here, so I'm going to do the best I can to get a little bit. But I don't want to take a chance of busting the leg off. I'm actually going to see if I can take off a little bit of the wood here and there. And if you kind of just like rub back and forth along some of these edges, it'll take that paint off better. And then when you're done, just take and wipe off the surface. If you have a tack cloth, that's great. I do want to somehow see if I can get a little bit more of this off. So that's kind of where I want it to be. I know I want to be very careful around the face of this chicken. And around the feet as well. And if you don't want to put any of that wax on at all, you don't have to do that. I mean, honestly, it's not really necessary. It has to be a personal preference. And I'm going to go just lightly across these letters. Just trying to be careful. But just see how much easier it is using this little sanding stick. You know, I've got these letters pretty close together. And I'm able to get in there. And I'm really taking off a lot of the paint from the color, but you'll see once I add that wax, It's going to darken it back up again. It'll just give it a different look. So like I said, it's just kind of got to be a personal preference what you do, how much. And this I know I want to be pretty gentle. Oh, that would be tough, staying stuck. And I know I'm going to have to be very, very careful with the cursive writing because I know that's going to be delicate. And I actually cut an extra one just to be on the safe side. Now here's the deal, you might not want to put any stain on it whatsoever and leave it like it is. So it really has to be a personal preference. Because honestly, I'm kind of liking this look. what it does is this, you know, all the sanding and stuff, excuse me, it actually dulls the color a lot. This has to be a personal preference of how much you take off. I don't know, I'm kind of liking them with nothing on. So here's some of my samples that I did. This is actually the graphite, okay, and this is actually the black. So by putting that stain on, it'll darken it up. This is the deep burgundy, and this is the deep midnight blue. And part of me just kind of wants to leave it as is. I don't know. So I think I'm going to definitely put stuff on that. So let me just get one of these out and see how I feel about it just being on there. I don't know. I'm kind of liking that with nothing on it. If I do anything, I'll put it on this. So I mean, it has to be like a really light coat. And like I said, you can always wipe it off with a wet wipe. So let me just do a chicken and cow real quick. and see how I feel. So with these pieces being smaller, I'm just going to use my sponge. But what I like to do is just tap in there and then just come to my paper towel and tap the excess off. And it seems like I always end up with more on the edges, and I kind of just go on the edges first to get that brown look onto those edges that I sanded off. And what that does is it takes it from being like a really light color to like a darker color. And then I just go across. And I don't know if you can tell the difference in the camera. I'm definitely going to put some more across the middle. It just has to be a personal preference. But here's the two side by side. You know, this is with the wax on and this is without. And it just kind of really, it's really hard to tell in the camera. It just really mutes that. So I'm going to go ahead and just, I'm going to do this cowl. Like I said, it kind of just, it mutes it. And it actually gives a little bit of a sheen to it, not a whole lot. I think I'm going to do the red lettering. And I'm just kind of like blotching it on, kind of like patting at it. Because I just want it to look really old. And see how that just kind of calms it down. I'm just doing it all. There's no rhyme or reason how I'm doing this. I'm just kind of like patting it. And I did happen to get a little bit more on that A in that opening, so I'll have to go back and clean that out. I mean, my sanded edges still show, they just have a different look to them now. So pretty easy. And it might be kind of hard to tell on the camera the difference in the color. I mean, because it definitely tones everything down. But I can see a slight variation, and that's actually what I was going for. Now I'm going to take my wet wipe and just kind of go over this blue a little bit. Just to wipe off a little bit of this wax. Just so you can see that it's more blue. And if you end up putting too much wax on, or you sanded too much off and you're not happy with it, go back and put some more paint on it. Okay, so I'm gonna let this dry really, really good. I will be back in about 10 minutes and we'll start gluing this on. And let's see how long I've been on here. Shoot, 48 minutes. Got 2 designs done. Like I said, these are quick, easy paints. They're very fast. Hardly any detailed work. The most time consuming is the sanding, the putting of the stain on, and gluing, because these letters are individual. Oh, I still got to do that utterly delicious. Yep, I got to do that. Completely forgot. So I just have to be very, very careful. And these little dots in the eye are tiny. And if I have to make these a little bit wider after painting them, I will. Now these, I'm not going to do any type of sanding. I'm actually just putting this paint on sparingly. And I'll go back and put some wax on. Pardon me, you know, I'm going to do that black. Now I think about it. I want that to be a little bit... See, I already lost my eye. I want that to be black, and I might sand them because now they look kind of different compared to the others, but I'm not going to go as detailed as the others. So let me let that dry really good, and I will be back shortly. Hopefully you stick around. Okay, let's see if I can gently sand these just to dull them down a little bit. Without busting them. I'm kind of holding the letters down. No, you can't really see. I'm kind of holding the letters down so there's not a lot of stress on them. And I cut another one just to be on the safe side. And I'm not gonna chance it anymore. I still have some wax on here, so I'm just using what I have left over. And that's that. All right, let's start gluing. And when it comes to gluing, I don't care what I'm working on. I like to start from the top and work my way down. So let's start with this cow sign because the lettering for that is up top. And it doesn't take a whole lot of glue. And I don't glue every square inch of things because this is a very powerful glue. I'm trying to avoid getting glue on my fingers because if you touch your surface with glue on your fingers, it's going to leave a white mark. And then what I like to do is apply the glue to the surface like this. That way if I accidentally drop it, I'm not getting glue where it's not supposed to be. And these letters are tiny. So if you can use a pair of tweezers for placement, it would be easier. Okay, something right there. That is not the right size, so I need to figure out what happened there. That might go to... I don't know. I'm gonna have to recut that one because it's not the right size. I don't know what happened. But I won't put that on there like that and call it good. Yeah, it's not the right size. So that's a do-over. And I'm seeing, just by looking up onto the screen, it's really hard to tell the color differences. on the screen, but there's definitely a difference. And I want to be oh so careful with this. And I'm just going to kind of dab the glue on. Hoping I did exactly what I didn't want to do. But I think it's fixable. We'll see. So I might have to make these just a little bit wider, so it's not so delicate. And when I get this listed, if you were to buy a wig kit, like with these teeny tiny dots, I'm gonna include extra. You know what I have to wonder? Yep, I painted the wrong color. I knew. So I wonder if I can sand these off. I got my letters mixed up. That happens. So, let's see if I can fix it. If not, then I will have to cut this over. Let's see. Because usually anything's fixable. So I don't even think you're going to be able to tell. This burgundy, that might be another story. I did a Durley. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get away with it. Man, I ended up taking off way more paint than what I wanted. Up top there. Way more. So we'll just cover it back up and start again. Good enough. Pretty easy fix. Looks a little bit darker, but I'll wipe it off a little bit. And I think it'll be okay. Yep. Easy fix. Now, if I wouldn't have done that live, you would have never known. Okay. And I really think these designs that I'm creating would be really great sellers at craft shows. Everybody likes farmhouse decor. They're into rustic and primitive type of decor. And these are quick, easy paints. I mean, I've been on for an hour and a half. And I had a couple little mishaps. But honestly, these would be quick, easy paints. And if I'm not mistaken, it took maybe a half hour to paint the board itself, sand it, put the wax on it. So, you know, you're looking at anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour and a half per design. And I'm being pretty generous with my time when I say that. So if you're looking for a quick, easy paint and something that's absolutely adorable, I think this is definitely it. Like I said, I've got a Christmas one cut. I've got a couple Christmas, but I have just one Christmas cut. I have a couple Halloween ones cut. And I'm going to take a break, and I will be back painting the Christmas one for sure. Now I am undecided because I did do the same staining because I'm after this very vintage, rustic, primitive look. If I want to splatter some white paint on the surface, I mean, it will show up. It'll be very minimal, and I'm okay with that. So I'm kind of undecided if that's a route that I want to go. Yeah, that's what happened. I just mixed up my L's between the milk sign and the egg sign. And if you happen to have a laser cutter, I mean, you can enlarge this. And if you have chickens and you sell eggs, this would be a perfect, I got that little tilted elbow, sign. Yeah, I did get that a little cockeyed, oh well. trying to get glue on my fingers and things are sticking. So here it could have been better, but with this glue you gotta work fast. It's called stick fast for a reason. 'Cause they ain't a kidding. It sticks fast. Yeah, I wish I would have got my letters on there better. But, and I don't have one of those scrapey tools, nor will I buy one. Because if I tried to take it off, I'd mess up my finish, and that would be a no-go. So, it's off by a little bit. So let's take a look at what we got. So we have our farm fresh eggs, and yeah, it's really hard to see in the camera. And we have our farm fresh milk. And they're very rustic, they're very primitive, very farmhouse. And if that's your style of decor, which it definitely is mine, you're gonna love these. Very vintage, very old looking. So I absolutely love them. So with that being said, I'm gonna get off here, and I will probably be back sometime today, unless we end up, my husband and I, doing something. And starting on that Christmas one. But I definitely will be on tomorrow, and I will be painting that Christmas one. And then I have those two Halloween ones to do. So hopefully you will join me. Until then, take care. Bye-bye.